Today I'm going to introduce you to Equipping Minds. It is a curriculum that helps to develop your cognitive skills. It's made for all ages, from very, very little to even older people that have dementia. And a lot of parents that are working with their kids that have learning disabilities, special needs, they will use this curriculum to develop better cognitive skills. People will also use it in the classroom. There are so many benefits. It helps with neuroplasticity. Look, I'm gonna leave a little iCard up above and a link down in the description box below where you could go to an interview. Dr. Carol Brown, an interview with Dr. Carol Brown. She wrote the curriculum. She's gonna go into all the research and all the things. In this video, I'm gonna give you more of a practical approach, how we use it in our household, how you can make your way through the curriculum, kind of a curriculum flip through, and all the things that you need to do. I'm going to be specifically talking about the Roses program. And when you order it online, you get access to a slew of videos, tons of videos. You also get the teacher manual and then the student manual. When you open up the teacher manual, I'm going to be completely honest with you, it is quite overwhelming. So here's just an idea of the table of contents, what it looks like. When you do the program, it's going to be some physical movement activities and then games. There is a philosophy that Dr. Carol Brown shares. Every child can learn, and it does work with kids that have severe disabilities, like Down syndrome, like autism, but also kids that have ADHD, and also older people. She even talks about how she works with patients that have dementia with this program. So when you look at the workbook, you're going to see that there are so many different versions and levels in each and every one of these games or activities, and there's a lot of them. In the beginning of the book, though, she uses a lot of those words. If those of you that have children that have learning disabilities, like, you know, you're talking to the therapist, they throw out a bunch of words like executive functioning, cognitive development, processing. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to spend a couple of videos breaking some of those terms down and giving examples, because I feel like if we understand some of those terms, it'll make things a little less intimidating for us as parents that are wanting to homeschool our kids, and even new teachers. In the book, there is an assessment tool. There's so many debate. I'm going to give you my personal opinion about them. Assessment tools are there to help you find out what level your student is at, where their strengths are, weaknesses, where you're starting, and then when you come back and take the assessment tool again, you can compare and see the improvements. It also helps you hone in and target those things that you know that your child needs to work on. If you are just starting to homeschool your child and all of this just is overwhelming, don't feel like you need to have an assessment done right away. You can hire someone to do it too if you want, but don't feel like you need to have it done. You can just get in there and start homeschooling and learning about your child and learning about their learning style and getting to know them. And almost like by default, because you're spending so much time around them, you're gonna pick up on those things that an assessment will tell you because you're spending time with them. If after a while you're curious, you wanna do it, you wanna try it out, you can do it. But don't jump in there right away if you're still overwhelmed with this whole process. Don't feel like you have to do it. But there is an assessment in the manual if you want to do it. The first thing it says is that you want to use the physical activities, the physical exercises. There's a video on her website that we actually use at this point. We just kind of turn it on. It's 20 minutes and Naomi just does them. In the beginning, I would have to work with her on doing them and teach her the different movements. It took some time. It wasn't like an overnight thing, but now she can do them fine by herself for 20 minutes. Sometimes she'll get off task and I'll redirect her, but hey, after the physical activity, you will then move into the actual games. And I did mention before, there's a lot of games. And there are some tools that you can use, some props that you can use, and I'll go over those in a second. There is also first the daily routine that you can do. Don't feel like you have to do all of this. You need to meet your child where they're at. And for example, for me, it does suggest 30-minute sessions. We might go through like 4 of these activities. When you turn to the daily training schedule for individuals and groups to integrate with classes, and they give you this lovely outline, do you see this? That's a lot. We do maybe like 4 of these activities, and we'll flip them out and switch them out as we go. And sometimes, honestly, I will ask her which one she wants to do. Or we'll take turns. I'll say, which one do you want to do? She picks one out, and then I pick one out, and then she picks one out. And I say, look, do what you need to do to meet your child where they're at. And don't feel like you have to rush through some of these just because they say time sequence 5 minutes. Don't feel like you have to rush through it. If you need to spend 20 minutes on the activity, spend 20 minutes on the activity. That's what I do. And then after that, she's going to go through in the book all the different, and she does provide a lot of research with it too, but all the different instructions on how to play each game, copies of the different games, and you can also just watch the videos one at a time. So let's say, you're going to start the program tomorrow, you're going to do the physical activity 20-minute session, you do the 20-minute session with your child, then you've got 4 picked out that you're going to do with her. You watch those 4 videos the night before, then sit with her that day and do those 4 activities at the level that you feel your child is at. And the way that they're organized on the website is extremely easy to follow. You're not going to finish, by the way, let me just side note, you're not going to finish this in a year. Remember, this is a curriculum that can actually span their entire 12 years of grade school, even into adulthood. I would actually like to use this with her when she's an adult, beyond 12th grade, because we are going to have to achieve guardianship, and why not do stuff with her, right? I do these games for me too. So let me talk a little bit, give you some example of some of the games. They're really fun. First, a lot of the worksheets are found inside of the student workbook. And the student workbook is literally just going to have the games. And by the way, when I show you this, these are the games that we have not done yet. Because when we are about to do a game, I actually will rip out the page, and I have created a folder that we use. And in the folder, I have stuck them in plastic sheets because this is the only copy that I have and I want them protected. I've thought about laminating them, kind of want to laminate. That would be a really good idea. It did come with these little sheets that you can slide them into, the pages into them while you keep the book intact, but that was just not working for us, because some of it you have to write on. For example, this one was actually a circling game. So when I do the game with her, I actually take the little sheet out, lay it flat on the table, and we do whatever activity we're doing. Some, like I said, use a dry erase marker and we circle them. There is also the option of using their number blocks and their math cubes, basically, and you can put them. There's actually an activity that you can do with these arrows where you put the color and match them with the arrow. Also, another thing to note, throughout all these activities, the child is talking and communicating, and you are talking. Sometimes you have to be their voice. There are very specific instructions on what they need to say while they're doing something and what you need to say. And it is part of that whole brain learning. Now, there's a lot of kids that don't necessarily talk verbally. Now, I love what Dr. Carol Brown said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing and maybe putting it into my own words, but it's this idea that there is no such thing as a nonverbal child. Whether what they're saying, the verbiage is inside of their head, there is some kind of dialogue that's always going on, either inside their head or coming out of their mouth. So there's no such thing as nonverbal child, but sometimes when you're doing the activities, you have to be their voice for them to help them learn what they need to say, or at least say it inside their head. And over a period of time, you will start to see that improvement as they're doing these activities. And then some of the games will require you to actually purchase some games online. So for example, Spot It. I know Chick-fil-A had these. If you have any of those left over, okay, you probably already have this. But there's so many versions of Spot It. Spot It is one of them. Blink is another game that you can purchase. And a deck of cards. We all have this laying around, as well as the game set. There's a couple other ones. Like I said, I know such a good idea to get all the materials up front, but if you purchase this curriculum and you don't have the funds to get all of these games right away, you can slowly start to gather them as you move through the curriculum. And I will say some of the activities that you do with Blink are very similar with what you do with the card games and set, from what I've experienced. There is also another thing that you can purchase outside of the Roses curriculum. They have the Equipping Minds card games, and you can see we have used this quite a lot. I might get myself another copy of the card game, and it's separate from the Roses program. Now, there are some similarities between some of the activities that you do in the Roses program and this, but it's always good to have a variety of activities that are very similar like that when you are working with neuroplasticity. So I would encourage, if you're going to dive deep like we're doing. But to share with you, this is actually where we started about a year ago. Actually, we started with these. And each of these cards, they have on the back a color that surrounds an animal with a word underneath the animal that is not the same as the animal, a letter, a number. There's lots of different games you can play with this. Just like with the Roses program and all the different activities, they're different games, different levels. We're still in the beginning stage. So the ones that we're doing are mostly sorting by colors, sorting by animals, sorting by numbers, sorting by letters. We've just started on the arrows. I know some people will sort by the word underneath the animal. Now with my older kids, we do this and we time each other to see how fast we can go. And it's really funny making fun of ourselves. Sometimes I don't do all the colors. I'll maybe pick out like 3 that she's working on and we'll do those. We'll just do it over and over and over again. It's a lot of repetition, but I know that since she's been doing it, I have seen an improvement in speed, executive functioning too, because you're doing a lot of taking turns sometimes with this activity. But like I said, this is where we started, and if you're interested in this, this is where I would suggest starting, in my personal opinion. But if you want to dive deep, doing both are actually really, really good. So like I said, I am gonna go ahead and over here in the corner, I'm gonna leave a square to her interview, Empowering Homeschool Conversations, which is actually a podcast that I help co-host. This interview is with Peggy. Of course, I'll put something else down there that you can check out as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you guys. Bye.